I am Heather D. Augustine, Chief Experience Officer here at Brookwood. Been in the industry since the late 90s, so I've seen a ton of changes and a ton of evolutions. And day to day, I'm just literally, in a nutshell, making the experience better for our advisors, our internal team, and the advisors' clients.
Great, love it. What is the Brookwood experience?
The Brookwood experience, I think, is the essence that we lead with the human connection. I think our advisors feel it from the very initial conversations they have with Brookwood, in that we are leading with that community connection, with that human element. It's the very first principle I literally feel like they feel it. It's something organic, right? You can't manufacture. It's not a tagline. It's not like, hey, this is what we do. They feel it. And it's literally one of the very first principles of our Brookwood ethos, the human alpha, and that wealth should serve people and not the other way around.
Love that. What does the transition feel like? And I'll put feel in italics, like transition at Brookwood. What does it feel like?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, it's a very stressful time for our advisors. There's so many, especially as entrepreneurs and trying to navigate everything day-to-day business, and then knowing timing and everything that goes into that. So we try to make it as stress-free as possible and make sure that we communicate the journey up front as to what you can expect to make that a little less stress-free. I mean, it's always going to be an element or an essence of the situation, but whatever we can do to alleviate that concern. And I think that is through education, teaching, and preparing them for what to expect. So this is step one. Here's who you can talk to. Here's what's going to happen next. And then at the end of your journey, here is where we'll be, and here's the next steps and what we can help you with. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. That's the ultimate goal, because it is the antithesis of comfortable in the real world.
Recognizing it won't be comfortable will help make it more comfortable.
Yeah. And supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you building at Brookwood, and why would the right advisor care about being part of it?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I think we're at a pivotal point in this industry. I've been around a while, and I've seen several evolutions and developments here in this space. And I think now more than ever, our advisors need to kind of get back to the basics. We as humans needs to get back to the basics. And that means connecting with, again, back to the human element, connecting with the individual person. For example, any advisors I think would be a good fit that are really wanting to be all-encompassing leaders, educators, teachers, supporters for their clients beyond just wealth management, something that they can really fulfill a need and a coach and an essence for their individual clients.
Love it. What was your first experience of money?
Well, I grew up as a single child of a 70s single mother. And so one of my first experiences is I remember going through the drive-through at McDonald's. Yes. And my mom saying, "How much is that?" And the amount was too high, so we had to put back the French fries. So that made a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
First, that through hard work and fierce loyalty and compassion, you can really do anything in this lifetime. And if you have to kind of jockey and move and sway a little bit, as long as you keep your sights on that goal.
Love it. That's wisdom for everyone. When an advisor joins Brookwood, what actually gets better for them and downstream of that for their clients?
I would say what gets better literally is just the support and having someone that you can rely on, that you literally feel is a part of the family. Because as I said, that human connection is so important for us at Brookwood. And so as entrepreneurs, as individual advisors, I've been in that space. I've been a small business owner. And so I know what it's like to worry about the lights coming on and IT, and we have a virus or, whatever it is, and having to wear all those hats. So the idea that you have that support, that resource, without having to look it up or call a friend and say, who do you use? And that sort of thing. I mean, I think that's so invaluable.
Yeah. What changes for their clients?
For their clients is really, I think the support behind the scenes that, because obviously the clients are with the advisor because of, the reason that they are, the essence of that advisor. So really our goal at Brookwood is to support that advisor in their goals and objectives and things that they want to do for their clients. And how can we help them incorporate that into their practice so that they can be those things that they want to their clients. Like I said, a leader, a teacher, an educator, all encompassing beyond financial elements and asset management, health and resource, and where do I go for long-term care, and my parents are going into assisted living. You know what I mean? All of that I think is so important in this day and age.
What's the overlap in running like a solid household of being great parents to being great leaders at Brookwood?
It is, trial by fire in both directions, to be honest. I think the idea is the connectivity that we have as a family. We're very, very close bands. So I think, we've never been shy. You asked Kim before about money. We've never been shy about talking about money with them. We've never been shy about, sharing and collaborating kind of everything that we do. Our household is not a secretive household. It just can't be.
Yeah.
And so for us, I think, being open and communicative with each other on a regular basis, and kind of fostering that, I think has really helped. Because otherwise, I think, it can be perceived as, this business is taking you away from kind of your family life. And there's an aspect of that for sure.
Yeah.
And we live and breathe this business.
Yeah.
So that can be a real challenge. So having kids that are kind of understanding of that and appreciative of that, I think has really helped.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Who's the ideal advisor to join Brookwood? Like if you were to paint a perfect picture of who would sit at home here, what does it look like to you?
Yeah, and for us, we talk about fit. Fit's really, really important. It's kind of everything. I think I can tell you, I'll start by saying who it's not.
Great.
So who it's not is, I use a kind of a term that isn't offensive. So a jerk. We don't want to work with a jerk.
No assholes rule.
No assholes rules, honestly. But that's big for us, honestly. I'm at an age, I'm 55 years old.
32.
I want to work with people whom I want to work with.
Yeah.
That's it,
Yeah.
and they have to be good people, honest people, kind people that, care for their clients, people that understand and appreciate the value that we bring, are willing and open to the idea that there are resources available that they can leverage as a part of our firm. So I think that's kind of an ideal fit for sure. There isn't kind of an age, there isn't, kind of a stage of development, but I think the advisors that fit well in our model are entrepreneurial advisors. We see kind of two, I think, key types. One are those advisors that are looking to transition out of the business ultimately, kind of that next stage of their life. That's a really good fit for us. So we can marry a team in with those advisors and help them to get to their next stage.
Yeah.
The other are those that are looking to grow. They've kind of reached a ceiling. They can't do more on their own without, getting up everything else in their lives. And kind of going back to the idea of leverage, understanding that if they leverage properly, they can help to grow, larger enterprise.
Love it. What's your first memory of money?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a good one. I'll say this. So when I was 10, I had an opportunity to sell, candy door to door. I don't remember how it came about.
I love it.
But it was with, do you remember the USFL?
Yeah.
At all? So
Yeah.
USFL was a thing. And there was a player, I don't remember his name, but he was kind of leading this. It was supposed to be for underprivileged kids to be able to go out and, and to make money and to engage with the community. And I got looped into this, and I don't remember, but I was really good at the door. Yeah. And so for me, I at the end of a day, all of a sudden I had, what I thought at the time at 10, this is back in gosh, it'd be in the 80s, the early 80s, what I thought was a lot of money. And so that was my money that I could do what I wanted with. So, the whole idea of independence and autonomy, what money can do for you.
Yeah.
And
You got the taste.
yeah. And that's, I got a taste for it. I was fortunate enough not to be, an underprivileged kid. So I had everything I needed, provided for me, for sure. So it isn't something that had come into my consciousness before that. But then all of a sudden, like, oh, wow, okay, if I go out and I talk to people and I engage and they have something and they want something that I have and I can get paid for it, wow, that's pretty cool.
That's a good lesson I learned early.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. I think door-to-door sales really builds thick skin.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I also, I mowed lawns in my neighborhood. So that was kind of my next iteration of doing something, for myself. I was paid, my parents paid me, what do you call it?
Allowance?
Allowance.
Yeah.
Thank you. To do our lawn. And then I went around the neighborhood.
You're like, if my parents will pay me, maybe other people will pay me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me about the transition from being an attorney to being an advisor, because you're not practicing law now, but
Yeah.
that always stays with you.
Yeah.
But like, what was that pivot point, and what was the conversation in your head?
Yeah, so I like to think of it as a proactive and not a defensive move. So I had always wanted to be an attorney. The idea of making an argument in court was super appealing to me. I like that. I always like to talk, and I always like to argue. But when I actually started practicing law, it was really not what I realized pretty quickly that this was not the path that I wanted. A lot of the work that I was doing was answering interrogatories and requests for production of document. I was stuck in an office, doing that sort of work. I would be able to I'd get out and I'd do mediations and do depositions. And I enjoyed that work, but I started to see what the practice of law looked like for me. We had a young family, and I realized the track to partner, which was the only way that I would do it at the time, I thought, was not a road I wanted to travel down. I kind of saw, working 80 hours a week for a salary, doing something that I wasn't happy with.
Yeah.
That's the direction I didn't want to go. And I didn't want to wait 6 to 8 years to get an opportunity to lead a team. So for me, kind of funny, the way that I found out about this industry was that I had the 401k guy come into the office and start talking to me about the options that and then I kind of turned it around on him and started asking him about what he did. So that got me thinking, this might be a really interesting area for me to go into. And I started to kind of research options in and around the Boston area, and that just made a transition.
Was it slow and then all at once, or was it like, Kim?
No, it was all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got the bug, and you're like,
I got the bug. I partnered with a planning from the South Shore of Boston, and started to do estate planning with them, and then got my licenses, and then just went out and did my own thing. First year, I won an award for the most financial plans. I realized, hey, I'm pretty good at this stuff. And then after I was with this firm for a year, I went out on my own after a year.
It was almost like the kids selling candy again. You're like,
For sure.
I got something here. There's a need.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, for sure. That's accurate.
that's where my mind went. Former attorney, advisor, alternative growth through acquisition. Like, how does being an advisor and being client facing and knowing what clients are grappling with, and also knowing what advisors grapple with, like, how does that set you guys up for success helping with transitioners?
Yeah, honestly, I've done what these advisors have done. So I kind of recognized the importance of leverage early on. So I was everything, marketing, I did the work, billing. So I did everything from soup to nuts in building a practice. And then I realized that, hey, if I have more resources, then I can really focus on the things that I want to do. And that is meeting with the client. So early on, I recognized the importance of leverage. And that there were some missteps there for sure. I learned along the way. A big kind of inflection point for me was partnering with centers of influence. So I did a really good job of connecting the CPAs and developing a practice within their practice, if you will. So wealth management division. having access to their trusted advisor and then kind of layering on what I did with them was really impactful. And so these are kind of lessons that I'm able to talk to our advisors about as well. But also, I've been in the same place that they've been. And so understanding kind of the path and the road that they've been on makes it easy for me to connect with them on a human level. Also having a family interest outside of the business, I think that really helps as well. So I've walked in their shoes. Understanding what it takes to build an independent individual practice, I think is really, really helpful. Also, understanding and recognizing the importance of incorporating resources, leverage into your practice allows you to grow a lot faster and be able to do the things that you're really, really good at. And if you want to do it, for me, it was engaging with the clients.
Well, tell me about the team at Brookwood.
Kim and I built this thing out of whole cloth, right? For us to be able to work with people that have the same sort of values as we do, people that are interesting and fun and smart and capable. Those are people that, I wanted to bring into the firm that could help us to kind of build out the executive team and grow the way that we wanted to grow. Because Kim and I are very much hands-on. We really engage with the advisors on a regular basis, but there's only two of us. So kind of having a team that has the same sort of values that we do, and is in alignment with us, that's really important. Chris, Heather, Dylan, Masai, all of these people that we have that are a part of the team, have the same sort of values that we do. And they're all people that I enjoy working with and have respect for. They each have their own unique skill sets too. That's really, really important. I think, kind of the, what is hub and spoke idea. I think that Kim and I drive the firm, but having people that have skill sets that complement what we do is really important. I think that all of those fit the middle.
If you could only wear one hat at Brookwood, because I'm sure you wear many.
Yeah.
If you could only choose one, what would it be?
So business development.
Yeah.
I love working on deals. I love bringing in advisors and meeting advisors and seeing whether or not there's going to be a fit. And I love helping them to get wins. Like for me, that's really, really important. And to see that once they come in, and I've had advisors say to me, I'll give you an example. So, we have an 86-year-old advisor who we absolutely adore, former Green Beret. He's fantastic. And he comes to me on the regular and says, hey, I have some great marketing ideas for you. You should take my W-2 from the year before I came to Brookwood.
I love it.
And you should show them my W-2 now and tell them that I only work 2 hours a week. Hyperbole, of course. Yeah. But, that's sort of the thing. To see him and see him be able to spend time, enjoy, his lovely wife, Sue, spend time with his kids, his grandkids, travel. When he was institutionalized and unhappy at a large broker dealer, it's really cool to see those wins.
That's great. I want to be like him.
Yeah, me too.
When a transition is done right, what does it feel like for the advisor and their clients?
Yeah. So I won't say seamless because that's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
I think having continuity and consistency with what they're delivering to their clients presently, I think is really important. But then also enhancing what they're able to deliver to their client. A transition that is kind of the logistics of moving over a book of business can be challenging for sure.
Yeah.
And I think we do a really good job of helping to manage that. We actually have a coach that focuses on change and that can work with advisors to say, come on board to help them through that idea of change. So, for me, continuity, having something be as seamless as possible, for them to come out the other side, being able to take a breath and to see kind of the next stage of their business in a positive way. For me, that's a positive transition.
It's big. How do you and Kim block and tackle?
Kim and I operate in different lanes and in the same lane at the same time. So, Kim has a unique skill set that kind of overlaps my skill set in some ways. So Kim is really, really good on the execution side. She's really, really good on running the business on a day-to-day basis, but also a tremendous visionary. Kim will run compliance, operations, set the vision for the firm, and I bring opportunities to the table. Oftentimes, Kim and I work in conjunction with one another on these opportunities, and I think we have a really good way of complementing one another, but we also understand the lanes in which we operate, and our different skill sets are important for us to operate independent of one another.
The shoe may be on the other foot one day, maybe none of the kids take over, and you're transitioning Brookwood. There's another group, someone's taking over, and you get to leave them a letter on your desk. What would it say?
Honor what we've built. And I think that's not too dissimilar from what we tell advisors or what we're hearing from advisors when they come on board to us. Make sure that you take care of the business, and that is the advisors, the staff, and the clients. For me, that's really, really important. It took a lifetime for us to build this thing, and I want to make sure that it's cared for when we leave. So that's important.
You get to write a letter to yourself a day or two before you launch Brookwood. Knowing what you know now, what would be in that letter to Bob?
I think, smell the roses, enjoy the successes. I think it's really, really easy to get overwhelmed by business and caught up in building something without taking the time to enjoy it. Kim read this book as well, a book called Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Really impactful. I think it's very difficult at times to not be present. And so I would tell myself as we're starting this thing, focus on being present, because time goes by really, really quickly. The next thing you know, your youngest kid is 19, getting ready to, go to school in New York. Your eldest kid is working for you and buying her first home. And, you're in a position where, you have financial security. But what's important is appreciating the journey.
You're talking to a client, you're an advisor, wealth is this nebulous word. A client wants to understand your philosophy on wealth. What is that?
Wow. Yeah. My philosophy on wealth is it's not tied to money. It's tied to appreciation, happiness, joy, family, those things that are difficult to quantify, that they're more kind of quality of life. So I think that money can provide independence and autonomy, but I think that it can feed what is truly your passion. So having the ability to be able to feed what truly matters to you, to me, is well.
Yeah. Optionality.
Yeah, optionality. An advisor is trusting us with their life's work. It's tremendous responsibility. At the end of the day, they built something that we need to care for. And I want to make sure that we're able to deliver on the promises that we make. Sort of the whole idea of fit. It's just so important. But I never want to bring somebody on board that we're not able to meet them where they are and do what they need us to be able to do. Really important.
For me, it's taking the same care that we would take with our own business, right? That we've taken for Bob's business, that, we owe the same responsibility to those advisors who join us. So we want them to feel exactly like Bob would feel with his business, that we care about it, that we're here to take care of it, and that we're making decisions to help them to manage their business better.
Want to take this one first?
No, I'll let you.
Oh, all right. I would define success.
How do you define success?
So for me, there's, always a monetary component. Honestly, I feel like, for me, the idea of having, the financial wherewithal to live the life that I want to live and to be able to support my family in the way that I want to be able to support the family, to encourage and enhance their lives, that's really, really important to me. So, I would be dishonest if I didn't say that, there's a financial component for sure.
Yeah.
Independence and autonomy that provides is really important. And so I think success is being able to do what it is you want to be able to do, be able to chase your dreams and your passions, and and feel good about that on the other end.
I think we have a similar point of view in that sense. I think for me, success is about impact. What impact have I made, and what positive impact contribution have I made in any particular place in my life, whether it be in business or in life, right? To me, it's about how can I quantify impact that I've had on someone's life and on the business that we bring to the world. And so that's really important to me. And I think nothing feels better than, someone calling me and saying, hey, I want to buy my first house and you helped me to do it. Or, I was able to step away and take care of my dad, or I was able to have a baby and leave and come back and feel cared for. So for me, it's about taking care of people and having an impact with that. A new advisor is going to see me on a regular basis, right? I am the executor on the most of the business front, right? So I've managed, run, grown the business from an operational standpoint. So I learned every piece of the business. So when an advisor comes in, they're going to be, questions, things like that, thing that is going to be about operational day-to-day things that they might have questions with, compliance, regulatory stuff, anything that has to do with the execution on the business. They're going to be heavily relying on me for that information and my team and the team. But I'm really the one who's there to support that. Should they have something that can't be answered, or do they just need a little bit more information? Generally how things work. I mean, I am the one who's responsible for that. So I would say that's where I'll come in and be part of their transition, right? To make sure that everything transitions well and smoothly. And that's really where they'll see me, my leadership, I think.
And for me, it's viewing things with an advisor's lens, because I've been in their shoes and continue to be. So, kind of appreciating what it is they're going through and helping to guide them towards what it is they're looking to accomplish, and also making them aware of the resources that are available depending upon where they are in their stage of business.
Yeah. I never got to ask you guys, how did you meet?
Well, that's a good story.
Yeah. Well, we were very young, and I was a freshman in college. I was going to the freshman orientation over the summer with my dad, and I was late. Anyone knows me, that might be something they might famously say about me, because they might be late. If I have any flaws, that might be it. So anyway, so I was late to this. And and I was walking through the campus center, and Bob and I literally crossed paths. And he was with a girl that was my mentor, essentially, at the time.
Yeah, so I was on campus to plan the activities fair. So I was in student government at the time. So I was like Alex B. Keaton, with my little bow tie. So I was coming down to the campus center. I saw Kim standing with my friend Jen Paventi. And I said, oh my God, that is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. And I made a beeline over to Kim. And I said to Jen, I said, hey, who's your friend? And she's looking at me like, really, And so, so I met Kim.
Yeah.
And then later on that night, there was a dance. Mm-hmm. And we chatted a bit more at the dance. We got to know each other. And then,
Yeah, and then I left that weekend, and my dad picked me up, and he said, how was your weekend? And I said, it was great. I just met the guy I'm going to marry.
Wow.
And I left that summer, and I came back in the fall. And when I got back to campus, I saw Bob, because he was the vice president of student activities. And later on, a couple months later, kind of saw each other a few times. And then my RA came to me, and she said, oh, I have a friend who's asking about you. And I said, give him my number. I know exactly who it was. And it was Bob.
I love a good origin story. When you don't initially see something the same way, how do you work through it?
You're talking to two lawyers. So, that can be a challenge. And I think, over time, you learn to communicate more effectively. When we don't see things the same way, here's how we tackle it. We try to have an open dialogue. As lawyers, I think oftentimes it's really easy for us to kind of get entrenched in our positions and kind of stick with what it is to Libra. But I think that Kim and I do a really good job of working through these things in an effective way to come out with a solution that works. Sometimes that means just saying, hey, you know what? You're right. And that'll happen oftentimes, both ways. But I think it's just about open communication, dialogue, and respecting one another's opinions.
Yeah, I think it comes down to respect for one another's opinions. I think we may not always have the same point of view, but we always are arriving at the same place, and we always see things the same way. So I think, in that sense, right? So the destination may be the same. We may have different ways to do it, or we may have differences of opinions of how to get there. But I think one of the things that's really helped us be successful in business is we tend to complement one another, and we do have a deep respect and mutual respect for one another, where neither of us has an opinion that's more important than the others. And I think we both bring that to the table, and it's always been effective for us in that way.
Yeah. How do you balance being business partners and being married?
You gotta go first on this one.
I mean, we have managed through our lives in business the same way we do in life, right? We try to communicate, we try to see things from the other's point of view, right? It's not always easy. It's life, right? So like anything, you just try to do the best you can, and you learn along the way, right? Bob and I have been together since we were kids, right? We built a family, we built the business. There's stress that comes along with that. There's beautiful, wonderful moments, and there's life in between. And so I think it's just a matter of learning to first come from a deep understanding of love and respect. And whether it's in life or in business, just understanding like they're not always going to be in full balance, right? So, sometimes I would be, immersed in trying to grow some part of the business, or Bob would have to be away, or whatever the case may be. I think it's just also just leaning on one another through the years to say, hey, you take this, or I've got to do this, or you've got to pick up the kids. I've got to get this done today. I'm in the middle of some big legal thing that we've got to get done. Or, hey, I've got a big client appointment, or I've got a big advisor. I think it's just balancing that, right? And I mean, we do the best we can, right? We're humans. We're not perfect. We certainly have had our fair share of disagreements. And I think one of the things that I can say is in any relationship, love should continue to evolve. And this is the same for us, right? We've arrived at a place where we love each other deeply and communicate in a way that's effective for business and in life. Our family has grown, our business has evolved, and I think we just continue to evolve and grow as people.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. That's all we can do.
I mean, I just think that, life comes at you fast, right? And you just have to adapt. I think, the idea of balance, I think, is really important. And it's not easy to do that in the moment every day. But I think kind of being able to step back and have perspective on each aspect of your life, whether it's family or business, I think that's really important.
Yeah.
So for us, I think the idea of that taking that step back, I think is probably most instrumental.
Yeah. Open.
A funny stuff. I'll share a funny story from the years. So Bob and I, we used to get into this kind of funny discussion about who's smarter, right? Bob or I, or is Bob smarter than I? And it was an ongoing joke between our friends and our family, right? Because we did everything together for so many years. And then when Bob and I went to take the LSAT, we got exactly the same score. Yeah. And that's when we realized, I think, you know what? This is forever ends the debate, right? And so here we have, all these years later, and have worked together and really understood our skill set and our I think just our general intelligence to be complementary. And that's how I think we've gotten to where we are. I'm Kim Raimondo, CEO and founder of Brookwood Investment Group.
I'm Bob Raimondo, Chief Development Officer and co-founder of Brookwood Investment Group.